Today, Joe Biden had a town hall last night, and we have got a lot to go over from it. Hold on to your butts. It's going to be a fun one, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by host of Stu Does America, Stu Burgier himself.
I like how important you made that sound.
Right?
Like it was a big deal. I like it.
It was very emphatic.
Yeah. I don't believe you meant it, but I did like that you did it.
Yes, she meant it. It's Stu Burr.
Yeah.
Stu Burgier,
Yes.
host of Stu Does America. Also joining us at the table, we have Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show.
Thank you.
By the way, for those of you who are listening, apparently people are like, how the hell do you spell his name?
It's on the screen.
But they're listening, but the ones who are listening to the podcast, it's Jaco.
Jaco.
Yes, and then Booyens.
Yes, and then good luck saying it right.
It's right.
Now that you can spell it.
It took me a while. Yeah,
That's right.
It took me a while. And I just want to point out here is I am hoping for blood from one of you. We're going to draw blood because we have Mr. Vaccine here and Mr. Anti-Vaccine here.
Oh my gosh. Battle! We're battling it out!
So what I'm asking you guys to do is
I blood.
just like blood for my ratings.
I like
please.
blood. I need a reason to draw blood. I've been waiting.
So we've got a lot to get into. So let's get to these clips, which are let's just take our time going through them, right?
So much
because
fun.
It's fun, and there's just so much there to get into. So let's kind of go down the line here. We've got Joe Biden. Of course, this was a CNN town hall hosted by Don Lemon, of all people, which we all know is like the...
How can it go wrong?
Yeah, the most unbiased journalist in existence, Don Lemon. Just so much journalisming that he's doing over there at CNN. And so let's go through Joe Biden. They talked about just a wide range of different topics in this town hall. And sometimes they talked about nothing at all because Joe Biden just couldn't get any actual ideas out. But let's go to Joe Biden, who, we've talked about inflation a lot. When it comes to, Joe Biden saying, well, everyone knows this is just temporary. The experts are saying this is just temporary. By the way, you're welcome for the 16 cents that I saved you in your 4th of July cookout. So let's go to Joe Biden, who says that, listen, if we just, my spending is actually what's going to reduce inflation, basically. Watch.
You seem pretty confident that inflation is temporary, but if you're pumping all of this money into the economy, couldn't that add to...
No, look, here's the deal. Moody's today, when a Wall Street firm, not some liberal think tank, said if we pass the other two things I'm trying to get done, we will in fact reduce inflation. Reduce inflation. Reduce inflation.
What?
Because they're going to be providing good opportunities and jobs for people who in fact are going to be reinvesting that money back in all the things we're talking about. Driving down prices, not raising prices.
Listen, I wasn't with him at first, but he said it 2 more times. And then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I didn't even
totally buy it now.
I was borderline on the second one, but
Really?
the third one brought it home for me.
No, but he was excited that he actually remembered something, so he had to repeat it.
That's true.
It's like, let
Or
me prove to you I can...
He wasn't sure where he was going next, so he's like, I'm just going to stay on this track until I come up with something else to say.
Yeah.
I don't know, but odd theory that all of his spending plans are going to reduce inflation, reduce inflation.
It sounds like BS to me. It's funny. Every time we've had out of control inflation, it's never been like, you know what, let's not print money. We all know that the cause of inflation over all history has been this giant supply of new money being pushed out. Too many dollars chasing too few products. That's been the cause of inflation forever. It's interesting, his example here, which is totally disingenuous. And anyone who is just watching in a passive way, who doesn't follow this stuff all the time, is not going to know. He says, look, it's not a left-wing think tank. It's a Wall Street firm. Well, technically true, right? Well, Moody's, known mostly for credit monitoring, but like a Wall Street firm, they have economists there. They have an economist who wrote this report and who did say, by the way, you can't dismiss the inflation concerns here, but we don't think they're going to happen. And it was Mark Zandi. Mark Zandi is a guy who's been around for a very long time. He's the lead economist over at Moody's. He was also tapped to be part of the Obama administration.
Yeah.
Right?
Not
Like,
a leftist.
This is not a leftist
No,
think tank.
no.
This is
Not
a
a
Wall
leftist.
Street
No,
firm.
no.
It just happens to be a left-wing economist at a Wall Street firm.
Right.
And he's acting as if it's some pragmatic, middle-of-the-road guy who's just looking at this plan and just can't be, he's just bowled away by it. This is somebody who was almost in the administration that he was also in. I mean, how disingenuous do you have to be to say that information that way? It just shows that he knows he's in trouble. He knows, by the way, another person who was the Treasury Secretary in the Obama administration, Larry Summers, has said there's a huge danger of all this spending leading to massive inflation. And, there was a report the other day in Politico saying that the White House is starting to freak out that maybe Larry Summers was right this whole time. And you know what? Maybe Larry Summers was right. Maybe Larry Summers was right. Maybe Larry Summers was right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right. No, this is how you do it, though. Find us a firm that's in the middle, right? Moody's. Go with Moody's. But find us the most left-leaning guy inside Moody's to write the report.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be in our favor. This is how they do it, right? So I've got a tip for all the parents. Call your college student and tell them, honey, your credit card debt, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to send you money. Spend your way out of it.
Right.
Spend your way out of debt. You can do that. Because the President of the United States says you can spend your way out of debt. And let's print money that's backed by zero. It's vapor. It's not backed by an asset. It's not backed by gold or something real, tangible that we can back it up with. No, we just print money and we're going to spend our way out of debt because the American's going to reinvest in us. He's going to reinvest in us. No, not reinvest. The money you're giving him, he's 30% more at the gas tank at the moment. His grocery bill is up 30%. Everything is up. No, that's not an investment, by the way. That's called feeding your family. That's not investing in the economy. How you invest in the economy is you manufacture something, make something, produce something, bring jobs back home, be energy independent, open the pipeline, say goodbye to China, say goodbye to the Middle East. We don't need your oil. That's how you get rid of inflation, not spend your way out of inflation. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It is interesting because it seems to be kind of the leftist mentality that if something hasn't worked, you just haven't done it enough, right? You haven't tried hard enough. Well, the socialism, they just didn't do it right that time. We have to go farther. The spending, well, we just haven't spent enough.
Yeah.
Once we spend enough, then it will actually solve all of our problems. That's just overwhelmingly what they seem to do. Is no. It failed that time, but if we just do it harder next time, we'll definitely get it right.
And that's where we are, right? And it's easy to we can sit here and argue about the short term and whether what's going to happen here in the short term. We did a show earlier this week called Stu Does Inflation, and we went over the last 20 years of inflation, and not only just because it's about 60% the prices overall have increased in the last 20 years. However, when you break it down by category, you see something I think really, really amazing, which is the number one highest was hospital costs, followed by college tuition, college textbooks, healthcare, and you go through the whole list. And at the bottom, there's things like cars, toys, TVs, and all of those have actually decreased over the past 20 years. The difference between the category, and with all of the categories, this fits. The ones that have gone up have been issues that have been supplemented by the government, right? Government's paying for a lot of healthcare, government's paying for a lot of college, government's paying for a lot of housing. On the other side, government's not doing anything with TVs. They're not doing anything with toys. They're not doing anything with cars, really. I mean, cell phones even have dropped. There's not huge programs in place, outside of the minor Obama phone program. But generally speaking, those are capitalist goods existing, generally speaking, in the free market, as opposed to large swaths of the economy with healthcare and all these other things that are hit by the government. And you see those costs going up. The costs in the free market going down. And that's the problem with this philosophy over a long period of time. Who knows what's going to happen in the next year or two? Things can bounce around. It's possible this does go away, but long term, we know what's going to happen. When you spend trillions of dollars on these programs, it's going to drive the cost of those goods up.
Yeah, well, let me bring in another clip from this town hall, which it kind of goes hand in hand when we're talking about inflation and the economy. Let's talk about jobs. Joe Biden was speaking to a business owner, a small business owner. I believe he was a restaurant owner. And he just said, look, I mean, you may be in a bind for a while, but hey, really what you need to be doing is just paying your people more if you want to get them. Watch.
All kidding aside, I think it really is a matter of people deciding now that they have opportunities to do other things and there is a shortage of employees, people are looking to make more money and to bargain. And so I think your business and the tourist business is really going to be in a bind for a little while.
Well, let me ask you, because John is looking to hire people. He's got 39 restaurants across the country.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can do to help him out? I mean, he's got to get people in.
Well, John, first of all, the thing we did to help John and the Johns out is provide billions of dollars to make sure they could stay open.
Help the Johns.
Number one. So
kind.
you all contributed to making sure John could stay in business.
Wow, we did it for John.
Wait, I didn't choose that.
John
as we
doesn't
did
look
for other
happy with the
industries.
answer.
But secondly, John, my guess is that people paying $7, $8 an hour plus tips, that's I think, John, you're going to be finding $15 an hour or more.
Well, I mean, it seems to me that when the government manufactures a wage crisis by paying people to stay at home,
Thank you.
like that's just kind of a figment of your imagination that this is an actual crisis that we have, that you need to start paying your people more. Maybe you should just stop taking our money and paying the people to not go to work. I don't know. It's just like a weird idea.
It would be
that I
like a
had.
neighbor going and breaking up the road, and then all the other neighbors going and fixing the road. And he said, see, I created jobs. I created opportunity for you.
Right.
You should thank me.
Yeah, yeah.
You broke the economy. Now you say, you guys were so kind. I can't believe you offered to bail all these people out. You're amazing Americans. No, you numb nut, you idiot. Okay, you created the problem. Yeah. Now you force us to do this. And oh, John, just pay them more.
Right.
And then he goes, there's no employees. Are you out of your mind? You're the reason there's no employees, because you're paying to stay at home, smoking meth and pot and doing whatever they want to do at home, right? Or abusing people or whatever, right? You're literally culprit number one. You and your cronies, you and the squad, you and your party creating these issues and then saying, thank you, America, for bailing us out once again.
There was a certain level of arrogance that he had when he's like, well, we spent a lot of money to keep you open. You should just feel glad that we let you stay open.
Right. Well, actually, didn't you close them in the first place?
Yeah.
I'm missing the order of events.
You're just going to suffer for a while.
Yeah.
What is it,
It's
like
okay.
only 60% of restaurants would survive, or do I have that backwards?
Yeah, look,
maybe 60 will fail. I
Yeah.
don't know, but
Either
it's
way,
not,
it was
it's
not a
not
pretty
looking
number.
good. It's
Yeah.
not looking
40
good.
or 60 is still not good. Look, he's right in that people are staying home knowing that they're going to hold out for a better job. And, they might not take those entry-level jobs right now. But what is the reason for that? Because their bottom is brought up. Right. They know they're going to be able to survive. They know they don't have to work to pay the rent. They know they don't have to work to pay for their meth, as you mentioned.
I mean, if I just didn't have to work to pay for my meth, I'd be in a really good spot.
Show me where it has worked. Stu, show me one time on earth where you've put someone on welfare, right? And holistically, not individuals. And then they just all came one morning and said, you know what? Man, we just don't want it anymore. I want to go work and earn a living and have dignity and show my son what it looks like to wake up in the morning. Never, historically, ever.
It goes back to, Ben Franklin toured Europe and found that exact thing, right? He said, whenever I've seen all these big programs, we've seen more poverty. Making people uncomfortable in poverty is kind of how he phrased it, was actually what seemed to get people out of it. When you're uncomfortable in it, you get out of it a lot quicker. And we've seen this with every experiment around the world with universal basic income as well. Even in developed countries, Finland, where they'll just throw money at people and it just doesn't seem to lead to them ever becoming productive citizens. Look, and I'm the biggest fan of the free market in the world. I love America. I love America's work ethic. I love all that stuff. But frankly, if you're sitting at home right now and you're getting paid, $600 a week, and your other option is to go to work for 40 hours a week to make $580, it's not a head scratcher, right?
No.
You're just going to stay at home.
Right.
And maybe you work a couple jobs on the side and make that 600 turn into 800, and you're doing even better.
But are you though? Are you though?
In a
This
short
is
Short term, I'm sure it can feel that
your
way.
bank balance may look better, but that's not what life is about.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you implode. You are creating a weak society. Go look at London. The dole has crippled that whole society. You're creating a weak human being.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And it's the last thing we need in America today is more weak Americans. We need strong Americans. So I say it's by design. They know.
Yeah,
They know.
I have someone who's in my circle of friends extended, and who worked at big events, right? Big corporate events, had a good job, made a good amount of money. This thing happens. Obviously, that whole that's just dead, right?
Gone.
It's just gone. So they've been out of work for a year. And now things are starting to open up, but the things that are opening up are, restaurant jobs and things like that. Could he get a job at Amazon? Yeah, he could get a job at Amazon. Probably could. But it's just not what he does. It's nowhere close to the quality of the job, and he's getting free money from the government to stay home.
Right.
So, you're going to be a heck of a lot more selective at the very least.
No
You're
question.
why not wait?
No doubt.
And that I think even people who aren't lazy can get caught into that, and that's
not
what's
a long-term solution.
And it's why it's such a bad policy for a society, because it turns people who are productive into people who aren't.
Yeah.
And that is you're really reversing gears on that.
Yeah. All right. We've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Keeps. So if you are looking in the mirror maybe and the first thing you notice is maybe a receding hairline or a bald spot, you've got to contact Keeps. All right. Keeps has, by the way, more 5-star reviews than any of their competitors. And what Keeps offers is the FDA-approved generic hair loss treatments. So you're going to pay half the cost of all of those other brands that are going to charge you way more, but it's the same damn thing. It's the same active ingredient. Don't do that. Go to Keeps. By the way, everything's online. Answer a few easy questions. Take a couple pictures of your hair. A licensed doctor reviews your information and will send the right hair loss treatment directly to your door. So if you're one of those people who you're just staying at home collecting money, they'll just send it right to your door. You don't even have to go anywhere. You can continue being unproductive with your life, and they will get it directly to you. You got to try out Keeps. Don't wait. You can go to keeps.com/Y. You will get 50% off of your first order. That is keeps.com/Y. Keeps.com/Y. All right, back to the Joe Biden town hall hosted by CNN last night. So I mentioned at the beginning of the program that there were times where Joe Biden seemed to not share any thoughts at all because he just couldn't manage to get whatever was going through that head out, or maybe there was just nothing going through the head. I'm not really sure, but I don't even know how to set this up because it's a question about vaccines, but I don't really know what he's trying to. I don't know what he's trying to say. Let's listen.
That's underway, just like the other question that's illogical. And I've heard you speak about it because I'm not being solicitous, but you're always straight up about what you're doing. And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you why can't the experts say we know that this virus is in fact it's going to be or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved but permanently approved. That's drugs. Underway too. I expect that to occur quickly.
Drugs, not vaccines. Drugs.
I have learned nothing from that actual answer. He does stuff like that, and it reminds me, I did a video splicing the two together once of that little kid. Have you ever seen the little kid in the video that he's like, did you ever have a dream that you could do anything and then you didn't even need to do and he spends 30 seconds trying to explain what he's saying, and at the end
exactly what it is. That's why Sippy Cup is an appropriate little nickname, because it's like a 2-year-old who's getting words and it doesn't know the words are just coming. But at least he's proud. He goes, at least I have words now.
Yeah, I guess.
Sometimes there's no words, right?
I guess.
Now there's some words.
And by the way, not a stutter. Still, this is not this. I didn't.
No.
It was not the stutter that was the issue.
No,
it was just the lack of actual ideas, synapses firing, kind of.
Misfire.
Yeah, you can really picture him walking down alleys and getting to the end of the alley, realizing it's an alley and it's closed, and he has to turn around and come back out to the street and go down the next alley. That's where he is with thoughts. He goes down these roads and he realizes, there's nowhere to go. Got to turn around and come back out and go down the next road. It's such a, it's sad to watch. I mean, he's totally lost his ability to do this.
Yeah.
And it happened over and over again last night. I would say that was actually one of his better performances as far as like being awake and completing sentences.
What a bar! What a bar
it's
that
a
is.
low
Well, he was
bar,
awake.
Sarah.
Well, the bar's low.
awake.
He tells
spoke.
Don, he tells Lemon he's straight up. He's always straight up.
Of course.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
that was
of
the
course.
worst part of that, actually. The part where he like actually complimented Don Lemon was the worst part of the actual thing. The rest of it made more sense, I would say.
Did you guys see? I don't think that we have this, but I watched a clip online when he was talking about Xi Jinping. And I thought he's marble mouthed sometimes, right? So I thought that he had said he's a great and tough guy, but I guess what he said was he's a bright and tough guy. Although I don't think that changes the characterization of the comments, which are, I mean, look, I just would like to see some objective media coverage on this, because when Trump said what he did about Kim Jong-un,
Or
people
Putin.
criticized him. Right, people, and I think rightfully so. I think the word choice was, I didn't like at the time, and I said so. I was critical of his word choice. I said, I don't think you can say those things about people who do what these men have done to their own citizens.
People, yeah.
Agreed.
Right? I don't think that that's correct. I just said, I reposted it, and I said, I wonder if we'll hear the same media coverage that we heard when Trump praised Kim Jong-un. And I cannot tell you how many people are like, well, are you really comparing China to North Korea? Are you really comparing Xi Jinping to Kim Jong-un? And I'm like, yeah, they're both evil, murderous dictators.
100%.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
I think you're wrong in that China has killed tens of millions more
Okay,
than
well,
North Korea has
tens
ever
of
been
millions
responsible
more.
for.
Darn it.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be critical, Sarah, on your show, but it's true. I mean, like, China is China's taken it's never been a friend of the United States, but like there have been periods where they've been better than this.
Right.
They are like a straight out, like I think, going from Hu to Xi, there's been a real change.
Radical.
And it's really bad, not only for the Chinese people, but for the entire world. And that is, this is not the time to be complimenting Chinese leadership.
Right.
Something nobody wants to attribute, not to talk about last week's story, but South Africa, the turmoil we see in South Africa right now. You talk to South Africans, largely attributed to China. What they have done. They are raping economically and plundering that continent blind. And the people are hungry, and the presidents are, enriching themselves, selling resources into the future, right? China, you should go to Africa and see what happens when China rolls in and does, a business venture and leaves. They leave ghost town. I mean, they deplete resources like these planet hoppers, right? That suck all the resources out of planets. That's China. So now they're infinitely worse. It's a compliment to China just to compare them with Putin.
Yeah, I mean, it really is troublesome because, so to your point, I'm hearing these people, and I swear I think this is verbatim. They said, what, world economic leader and trade partner China? And I'm like, okay, so this is how histories get rewritten, and this is how our Chinese overlords come and take over, when you guys are characterizing them as that's just what they are, and there's nothing else to see.
And look, I'm not going to compliment Kim Jong-un in any way,
Right.
But I will say most of the terror he has brought has been on his own people, and that's about it. They're an insular society. They have almost no relationship with the rest of the world whatsoever.
He also doesn't have the capability to do as much as China does.
Totally, yeah. I mean, they can threaten those areas
right.
around them, and they're a huge threat. I don't want to demean them as a threat, and what he has done, isn't normally included in the conversation when you're talking about, China and, Hitler and Stalin. I mean, he's in that Pol Pot category, right? Like, I mean, he has done incredible damage to his country and his people, but. China is much. When you're talking about the influence on America, it's not even close. They've been much worse.
Yeah, but here we have them. They're like, I guess, condoning concentration camps to own the
But
cons.
it's their buddies. It's their buddies. And you just go around, look at the BRICS coalition: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and go look and see how America is starting to show favoritism to these friends of China. They are. It's just no question. They're playing to China. This administration is China's best buddy.
Yeah. All right. We've got one more to play, but let's go ahead and play it after the break because it kind of ties in with another story I want to get into. First, we want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. So practicing with your firearm is essential and it's fun, but it's not what you would call cheap. I don't know if you've noticed, but the cost of ammunition has kind of gone through the roof. So if you are looking for a cost-effective, safe, and easy way to practice, you got to go to iTarget Pro. iTarget Pro has these what I call, and by the way, Pat Gray gave me a hard time about what I call them, They are laser bullets. It says it on the box. They are laser bullets, and they are as cool as they sound. So whatever caliber gun you have, you go to iTargetPro.com, you get the caliber that is for your weapon, and you put in this laser bullet, and it allows you to dry fire over and over and over again, and you have this target that you can then track how your progress is, and it helps you learn your weapon, develop muscle memory, sharpen target reaction speed, sight alignment, and much more. So you got to go to iTarget Pro. It's a great gift for the man in your life. I'm going to be sexist and just say it's a great gift for the man in your life. Women too, maybe, all right. But men in your life, if you are looking for something for them, birthday, what have you got to go to iTarget Pro. It's iTargetPro.com. Save 10% plus get free shipping with the offer code NEWS. It is iTargetPro.com, offer code NEWS. All right, just to wrap up this Joe Biden town hall, let's see. Joe Biden was asked, again, the last one we saw was on, although you didn't really know what he was trying to say. It was about vaccination. But here, Joe Biden is...
Was it really?
I mean, okay. It was supposed to... Look, the Chiron said it was about vaccination. Okay. That's all I can tell you. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the rest of it was about.
It was more about his admiration for Don Lemon. So.
Yes, that's
true. That's also fair. But Joe Biden also talked about unvaccinated children in school, and they're probably going to be wearing masks, like I guess for life. I don't know. Watch.
Everyone under the age of 12 should probably be wearing a mask in school. That's probably what's going to happen. Secondly, those over the age of 12 who are able to get vaccinated, if you're vaccinated, you shouldn't wear a mask. If you aren't vaccinated, you should be wearing a mask.
Okay, so I want to get your thoughts on that, but let me bring another story into the conversation. The left's Lord and Savior, Dr. Anthony Fauci, was interviewed. Again, I don't know why we keep putting him on national television. I don't know, he had his place when everything was really bad, and now it's not, and now there's a vaccine, and why places like MSNBC, CNN, CNBC, all of these places continue putting him on their programs to give advice, I don't understand. But here is Dr. Fauci telling you that you may want to consider wearing masks indoors again, even if you're vaccinated. Watch.
The broad overall CDC recommendation is that if you are vaccinated, you are protected and you don't need to wear a mask indoor or outdoors. But many local authorities, and I think the prototype example of that is LA County, Los Angeles County, which because of the high level of transmission and infection there, they are saying that if you are fully vaccinated, even if you're vaccinated, it's suggested that you wear a mask when you are indoors in a situation where you have a level of dynamics of virus in the community that's high. So I'm not sure exactly where you are or what the dynamics are in the region that you are, but you might want to consider, if you want to go the extra mile of safety, even though you're vaccinated, when you're indoors, particularly in crowded places, you might want to consider wearing a mask.
I mean, you also might want to consider never leaving your house again, because when you leave, you might get in a car accident. It's a small risk, but you might. You also might not want to ever walk outside your door because you could get struck by lightning.
Oh my gosh, that's true. I never even thought of that. I gotta stay inside.
I mean, you probably won't, but you might.
Right.
I mean, how freaking far are we going to take this? Caught myself.
Good job. Good job. We didn't have to bleep this episode. It's interesting. To try to make some lemonade out of lemons here. This is one of the strengths.
Don't worry. I gotta have my turn.
This is my time.
I think this is.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued, Stu.
I think we'll be on the same page,
okay.
Chicago. Which is look, this is a strength of the U.S. system, which is what we get out of Anthony Fauci is that he goes on TV and says he recommends you do X, Y, and Z. In many countries around the world, Anthony Fauci would be requiring. He would put in a mandate nationwide, and you would go to prison if you didn't listen to him. Mm-hmm. What is going to happen? We all live in Texas, thankfully. And what is going to happen in Texas is nothing.
Right.
There's no way Greg Abbott, who clearly wants to run for president of the United States and win a Republican nomination, is going to put on a state mandate again here, right? Ron DeSantis is not doing it, right? Mm-hmm. This is not going to, Kristi Noem is not going to do it. He has literally no power to do anything to any of these places. All he can do is go on CNBC and make recommendations. And we can all ignore him. I mean, at this point completely ignore him. I did a show last night on this with the Rand Paul versus Anthony Fauci sort of back and forth, which I thought Fauci was being completely disingenuous. He's walking all these semantic lines. He knows that people aren't going to go look at the paper where it is actually titled gain of function research.
That's right.
So, I mean, really, I think like my answer to Fauci at this point largely, and I know I just said I did a show on it last night, but my answer largely has been to ignore him. And I think that is certainly what red states are doing now. Some blue states, you're still, LA County is going to do what LA County does. If you live there, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. You should move. But I mean, generally speaking, I think it's a great thing that we at least have the power as in this country to be able to do what our local community thinks is the right thing to do.
That's a nice little.
No, it was good.
Yeah. I appreciated the
look,
optimism.
in my mind, I role played getting up, walking around, and doing a rear naked choke. Right?
What did I do? What did I do?
Yeah, that would help your ratings.
Look at this. He's doing. It's January 6th all over.
Hey, I got my camo. I got camo on today. I'm in war mode. Okay, I'm in war mode today. Okay, so okay, I hear you. Now. We are in a place where Texas can say no. But in the beginning, when he made a recommendation, it was law. It was received as law. It wasn't law in the state. But it was like, oh, the sky's falling, shut the world down. And trust me, if they could run this like an, like a dictatorship, oh, they will. He would much rather say, no, I will come into your home and vaccinate your children myself and put a mask on, a diaper on your face myself, right? So yes, now finally in Texas and in Florida, we're saying, okay, ignore the guy. I have, just respect to you, I've ignored this weasel from day one, okay? And here's why, and I'll tell you why. Because I've known this guy, not personally, but I've known this guy from my Africa days, when he came in with these anti-AIDS drugs and gave half the continent AIDS and allowed them to experiment on drugs that had no proof, right? And here he comes again. So why would I, on the second merry-go-round, say, oh, now he's going to play nice? No, he doesn't. So I've ignored him always. I'm glad we are ignoring him as Texas, and that's a fair argument. Thankfully, we are the United States of America, and we are ruled by local government. It didn't work so well for us in the beginning. Yeah, it's time that the conservatives take local government back.
But I mean, like, I think there is something to be said. Like, I know, I was looking back, I was going back through my pictures with my kids the other day, and I looked at a picture of us on May 1st, 2020, at a restaurant down the street in Texas. And it's like, there was that period of about 6 weeks where, you're right, it really felt like law. It wasn't law.
No.
And that was the Trump administration, right? That
was
even,
fear.
Fear. It was fear, and it was before we had testing, and there's a lot of reasons why I think that happened. I do think it's great that we are at a place, and I think this applies, we can all have different views on vaccines, right? I think we would all come together in the same room and say, though, we should not be mandating them on anybody. And that's the whole point. Like, that's
we could.
We could. You're right. There's so many people will not.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully that is not, again, I don't think they're going to have any way to justify some sort of nationwide vaccine. You will mandate. You will see it in certain businesses, certainly. There will be some of that happens. But I think luckily the structure of our country makes it incredibly difficult to do those things to people, thankfully. And that's a strength of our founders and the brilliance of them.
No, absolutely. But also it's why they want to erode that structure, right? Because they know they're coming up against the wall, and they know where the wall is, and they're going to push all the way, right? But to your point, it's also every American's right to take the vaccine, to wear 3 masks if you want to.
Yeah, exactly.
To do what, and it's not my place to come to you and go, you shouldn't do it. I
agree.
At all, but don't come knocking on my door, right, telling me we have to do it, right? We'll keep us
How about
on
this?
YouTube.
How about me and you, we just gang up and fight against Sarah?
No.
Yes, we'll just
That's
go
a
against
idea.
Sarah.
No.
I've never gone
We need
against
conflict.
Well, let me ask you while we're on this topic, because I agree, and I think there's a place for a public health official to give a recommendation. I think there's also a place for a doctor who wants to go make a YouTube video to also give a recommendation, because they have the same credentials,
but he gets
right?
silenced.
But right.
The
which
opposing
I'm saying
opinion,
is a problem.
Huge,
But what I have a problem with are people like Mitch McConnell, who come out yesterday. We covered this on the program yesterday, when he comes out and says, well, get vaccinated because we don't want to see you in a position like we were last fall, which felt very much like a veiled threat of, if you don't get vaccinated, we're going to have to shut down again. You're going to have ramifications. Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah, but he's
I got it.
reviewing.
I understand his history. I understand he somehow thinks he's the authority because he had a completely different communicable disease. But it's like, I don't need to be lectured to about getting a vaccine from a lawmaker who knows nothing about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, at some level, it's an empty threat, right? Which is the good thing, again, with the same sort of argument that we point out. But you're right. I don't want to hear it from him either. I don't think there's any reason for these guys to come out and be doing this. Like, I come back to this as a person who does look at these things more in a positive way and says, stand by your freaking product.
Yeah.
If people want it, they'll come get it. You don't need to go, you don't need to beat them over the head to go get this thing.
If it's so good and the pandemic is so bad,
yeah, exactly.
you don't need to
go
do that.
Get it. And people get to make their own choices and take their own risk assessment. That's freaking America.
Unless you know your product falls short, unless you know your product doesn't work, unless you don't actually know what your product's going to do and how could they. Where's the study and the research to back this product up? If this vaccine works, why should you ever put a mask on your face? I go stand by your product. Double down.
Yeah, 100%.
Double down.
Are
you willing, Anthony Fauci, to double down? Can you look America in the eye and say, this works? You cannot. It's why you flop like a cheap fish on the dock, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go back and forth, and that irritates the living daylights out of me. I almost said something else, okay? Give me
I'm the one who's not swearing here.
I'm not swearing. Give me somebody with spine. Why should I listen to a doctor that hadn't seen a patient in almost 2 decades? But the doctors who see patients get silenced, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
It's insanity out there. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So most of you already have heard about Built Bar because I'm literally obsessed with them. But for those of you who have not, Built Bar is a protein bar, so it's healthy for you. It's going to be high in protein, high in fiber, low in calories and carbs, but it tastes like you're eating a candy bar. By the way, I've heard a rumor from Glenn, I guess, that there's a Rocky Road flavor coming out.
That is what he said this morning. The Built Bar people were on site yesterday.
Does he have inside info?
Yeah, they were here
yesterday.
yesterday.
I saw them yesterday, and I wasn't offered a Rocky Road flavor.
That's amazing. I mean, that's sexism is what I think it is.
Don't go buy Built Bar. I'm just kidding. Totally buy Built Bar. And when Rocky Road comes out, definitely buy Built Bar because it's going to be amazing. I will be getting it as well. They're delicious. They're covered in 100% chocolate. Regular chocolate, white chocolate, depending on what the flavor is. But they're life-changing. They're life-changing. Yaku knows what I'm talking about.
They're amazing. You had one before the show.
I did. And I'm
going to say it over and over again. The lowest high-protein bar with lowest sugar.
Yeah.
Super low sugar, which is
low
key.
in sugar. Yep. So if you're I do keto, you can do it with a keto diet. It's really awesome. The flavors are really great too. You got to go check them out. Go to built.com. It is built.com. Use promo code news15. You will save 15% only at built.com. A viral video that was tweeted out by Adam Carolla shows 2 crooks in California. They're just like casually chilling, walking out of a TJ Maxx with like armfuls of merchandise. And by the way, they're not being bashful about it. Here it is if you guys are watching and not listening. I mean, like, look, this guy's got a giant duffel bag. They're just walking out. Someone's filming them. And they don't even, when I say walking, I mean walking. Like, they don't even care. They're not running. I wouldn't even say, would you guys say they're hustling?
No, we're walking leisurely.
I would not say they're hustling. Guys? They're just casually taking a stroll.
I want to see how far you guys get.
Well, probably to their home. So this was in Granada Hills, which is in the San Fernando Valley region of Los Angeles. And by the way, one of them is not even like you can just totally see his face. Everything is fine because why would they care when we're not prosecuting crimes like this?
I'm concerned he wasn't masked. He may have spread COVID in there.
That's a great point.
I'm very concerned.
Well, that would be the reason to arrest him.
Right, there you go.
The stolen
not the stolen merch. Yeah, this is a plague, right, on our society right now. This type of behavior, because it's there. Any criminal is aware that these stores have taken this stance of like, we don't want to get any conflict because God forbid we arrest someone who might have some characteristic that gets us on the news as hateful. So you know what? We'll just take the loss. We'll let them walk right out the front door. We're not going to do much of anything. If the police come, they probably won't do anything. Someone pointed out in this area, I think it might have been Adam's tweet, $950 or less. They are told people they will not prosecute.
They're not prosecuting.
So you just grab $950 or less, and you're going to be probably fine. Someone did point out that you should just put everything in the store, make it cost $951, and then just discount it at the register, which I thought was a pretty good idea. I don't know if it would work legally.
love
At least there's some brain power involved in that argument.
Yes.
At least that's someone who's thinking to solve a problem. Look, I am sitting here, and I almost want to yield my remaining time to someone else because I want to keep your show on the air. Okay?
Wow. Man.
I trust you.
I'm from a place where I had a bit of a scuffle with a buddy of mine, and the teacher took me and my buddy outside the class. He called the whole class out. He said, okay, you've interrupted the class, go at it. We knocked the living snot out of each other. They watched, we went back in the class, and we settled business. I promise you, if I was in that store today, I will literally go to court. I will not be part of a society where people can do this. I will take that guy down. I will take his kneecap. The next morning, I swear to you,
but
he'll think 2 or 3 times before he does it again. We'll do it right.
Yeah.
We'll do it within the law. We cannot. We have let the insane out of the asylum in this country. And at what ends, Stu? I hear you. Yaku, you don't do conflict and you can't, and violence. It's not about that. Theft is illegal.
Oh, yeah.
End of story. And at what point do we not just say, well, okay, all right, well, let's just keep going. Let's loot everything again, steal everything again, and then we complain, I can't believe these people. We did this.
I agree with you. I'm just not sure that I would be willing to put myself out there for whatever store isn't willing to protect their own merchandise. Now, if you're talking about my stuff, if it was my store, I'm absolutely doing whatever I need to protect it because
I don't think you should.
It's mine.
I don't think you should, but I'm just telling you, you don't need to do much. These are cowards.
Yeah.
You smack a bully, smack a bully in the mouth, and he's a coward. He runs. This whole administration's cowards for crying out loud, right?
We had a friend here locally in Texas who was at a makeup store, and 2 girls, 120-pound girls, come into the store, and they just have garbage bags and just start doing this with the makeup and just shoveling all the makeup in, and everyone's like,
that's
staring at them.
Product.
They
Someone paid for that.
Walked right out. Now, look, obviously, like a security guard should just tackle them, right? Like that. That's the end of that situation.
Yes.
But they won't even do that because they're terrified. Yeah. These companies are terrified, as at the structure that honestly they've been a part of building by continually playing into this nonsense.
Placating.
You got to take this stuff seriously. I'm with you. Look, there's obviously limits to this stuff, and I wouldn't want my wife to jump in and start trying to tackle her.
But you hear what I'm saying, though, Stu?
You got to do something.
We still need to protect the culture.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
We can't just forfeit culture and say, okay, well, I guess let's let the hoodlums run the show.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. I still didn't see any blood, though. I'm
telling
offended.
you, that guy, you grab the backpack and you yank it.
All right, don't forget, this is the part of the program where I tell you guys, if you want to make me really happy, it's just that my entire happiness, my entire existence just depends on you guys going to wherever you get your audio podcasts, searching for The News and Why It Matters, subscribing, rating, and reviewing The News and Why It Matters, and not just rating and reviewing it, but rating and reviewing it well. Because we put a lot of, I was going to say we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this, but apparently we don't have blood today. So we put a lot of sweat and tears into this program for you to enjoy, and we would just like for you to take the 2 seconds to let us know how much you appreciate it. Also, you may see a review read live on air, like the one today from, I don't know if that's...
Just definitely don't read the name.
Okay. I think this is a setup.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go to, I love listening to this show. I'm so happy I found this show. It's always so entertaining, informative, and makes sense. Why can't mainstream media figure this out and give us real news like The News and Why It Matters? Thank you, Sarah, and all the guests. Thank you to the person who wrote that, whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce because I will then get in trouble. Also, don't forget, you can subscribe to Blaze TV if you go to blazetv.com. Use promo code NEWS. You will save $10 off of your annual subscription. That is blazetv.com.